the law of karma. So, in the second session we covered the topic of God. The third session we covered what? Soul. And now we are covering karma. This is the third subject matter out of the 5 that we are going to cover. Okay? So, let's start. So, we started last class, or we ended last class's point on the point of reincarnation. How many of you remember that? You remember the point of reincarnation? Yes. So, the first thing is that we understand that reincarnation is a law of nature. Yeah? So, reincarnation is not just a Hindu idea, it is a law of nature. It is not a man-made law, yeah? And no one can escape this law because it's a law of nature. Just like how gravity is a law of nature and it acts upon every single one of us, regardless of whether you are American, African, Asian, it doesn't matter what your belief systems are, gravity will work on you no matter who you are. So just like that, karma, the law of karma, acts on every one of us. Okay? So, just as much, okay, the law of gravity acts on all, law of reincarnation acts on all embodied beings. So this law does not just only work for humans, it also works for all the other types of living entities. So you can imagine how strong this law is. Now, ignorance or not believing in this is pointless because the law will act regardless. Just like a fire. Fire will burn. Whether you are an adult or whether you are a small child, the fire is not going to discriminate between an old man and a small child. It is going to burn both of them if they are not careful. Right? Okay? So, as we were saying, samsara refers to this world of birth and death, and that is shown in chapter 8, text 16. Krishna says that this is the case for each and every planet in this material universe. Okay? So, but why is it considered a wheel? So, if we understand samsara, why is it called a wheel? So, it is called a wheel because embodied living entities continuously go through birth and death with constant promotion and demotion in this entire material universe. Just like a big Ferris wheel. How many of you know of the London Eye? London Eye. Have you heard of it? Have you been on it? So, what is the London Eye? You go from the bottom, you go all the way to the top, and then you come back to the bottom. So this is what it is like to be in a wheel of samsara. It's like you're constantly going up and down in different life forms with different levels of consciousness. And this is how people go through this process of birth and death. Okay? So, we understand there's a wheel and we understand the samsara. But what causes the wheel to turn? Huh? What causes a bicycle to move? Huh? Sorry? And but in what sense? Like what's causing it? Pedals. Right? The pedals are causing. If you put pressure on the pedals, then the wheel will move, yeah? That pedals is known as karma. Karma is the reason that this wheel of samsara keeps on moving. Okay? So we will now try and understand this through an analogy. So we go to the garment shop of material nature. Material body, what we have, the material body, is simply a dress for the soul. How many of you remember that last session we discussed the three things known as, or the 3 circles? Okay, what is that right in the middle? The soul. What's covering the soul? Subtle body. And what's covering the subtle body? The gross body. Okay, what is the gross body made of? Okay, what are the 5 elements? Yes. So this is the 5 gross elements. Yeah? And what are the subtle elements? How many of them are there? 3. What are the 3? Yes. So we've got 3 subtle elements. Okay. So this is our understanding. Now, we'll see a nice diagram which compares material nature as a garment shop. Okay? In a garment shop, there are many varieties of dresses available. So in material nature, these dresses are the different material bodies we can have. And they are of 84 lakh different types. Okay? When you go to the garment shop, you see so many dresses available. But you might like one, you might like another one. So your choice. Your choice is determined by the desires you cultivate in the present body. Okay? And how do you pay for that dress? How do you pay for it? You pay for it by the activity performed in this present body known as karma. Karma is your payment to purchase a body of your liking from a choice of 84 lakh different types of bodies. Okay? Now the problem is that out of ignorance, one doesn't understand what kind of desires and activities they need to perform to get the best type of body and which will bring about his greatest welfare. Okay? And at the time of death, the subtle body, which comprises the mind, which we have already discussed to be a storehouse of our desires, takes us from one gross body to the next. So as we discussed, when death occurs, basically what happens is the subtle body takes the soul and puts it in a gross body number 2. This was gross body number 1. So basically at death, it's only destruction of the last circle, and then the subtle body takes the soul to the new gross body. Okay? That is why many people are born with different types of desires, different types of phobias, different types of likings, because all of this is located where? In the subtle body, in the mind, because the mind is the storehouse of all our desires, and because the mind moves along from one gross body to another gross body, it is the storehouse of all our desires. And so whenever you see different people, they are coming with a baggage of so many different desires, so many different natures. Okay? That's the reason why we can explain there's a variety of people. Right? Next, tackling the law of karma. So the law of karma basically says that for every action performed, there is an appropriate reaction. Similar to the Newton's third law. How many of you are physics students here? What does the Newton's third law say? Equal and opposite reaction, of course. So, therefore, whatever we are going through right now is basically a reaction of our past actions, and whatever we are doing now, it will come back to us in the future. Okay? So let's try and visualize this. Okay, so let's say this is a scale here. Okay? You are currently here, you are experiencing life at this point here. Whatever you are going through here is a result of all the reactions you have performed in the past. and then your future is going to be determined by what you decide to do now. Okay? So here we have reactions from past actions, and then we have here reactions will come from present action. So this is the present, this is the past, and this is the future. Okay, is this making sense? Yes? No? Okay. So whatever we are presently suffering or enjoying is based only on our past reactions. Okay? And since it is a universal law, it will act upon all of us. Just like the law of reincarnation is a natural law, same the law of karma is a natural law and it will act on all of us. Basically, it is inescapable and it is infallible. Okay? So, now there are three types of activities we can perform. Does somebody want, okay, let me see from this table here, can somebody read chapter 4, text number 17? Sorry, just hold on the mic.
The intricacies of action are very hard to understand. Therefore, one should know properly what action is, what forbidden action is, and what inaction is.
Okay, very good. So the three kinds of activities is what we call karma, which will in this case we will call to be pious activities or punya. Then there is vikarma, which are sinful activities or pap or forbidden action. And then there is akarma, known as spiritual activities. So there are three broad types of activities you can perform. It's one of these three. Okay? So the first one, karma. So karma generally means any action, but in this case, we will take it to be meaning pious activity. Okay? So these are the activities that are prescribed and sanctioned by the Lord through the scriptures, or we know as the karma kanda section. Anyone wants to read Bhagavad-Gita chapter 3, text number 15 from that table at the back?
Regulated activities are prescribed in the Vedas, and the Vedas are directly manifested from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, the all-pervading transcendence is eternally succeeded in acts of sacrifice.
So regulated activities are prescribed. Right? What is the word?
Prescribed in the Vedas.
Yes. So all the activities which are regulated are prescribed in the Vedas, and then again the Vedas are emanating from the Supreme Lord. Now the performance of these pious activities, it gives material benefits which will be enjoyed in this life or the next. Examples of such ones are like charity to the poor, helping the blind, distributing free medicine, digging wells, planting trees, feeding the hungry, and you get the point. You get the point of what constitutes pious activities. Okay? So, the benefits of performing these type of activities is that again you get material benefits. Now, what are the material benefits? That you get increased wealth, you get increased beauty, you get good birth, material happiness, and promotion to heavenly planets. This is the benefits that we get by performing such activities. Okay? Now, the opposite, vikarma. So, vikarma is action which goes against scriptural injunction, and it is performed out of ignorance of the consequences of performing such actions. Some people say like, oh, I don't believe in the law of karma, but that's just ignorance being played here, that they don't understand that it is a law of nature, and whether you believe it or not, it will act upon you. So weak karmas are generally performed out of ignorance. Such examples include stealing, killing, indulging in vices like drinking alcohol, eating meat, and so on. Okay? And the results of these include there's going to be suffering, there'll be poverty, there's disease, there's low birth, there's less than human birth, and ugliness, etc. Okay? Now, I have a question for you guys. So, from karma and vikarma, what should we be performing? How many say karma? How many say vikarma? Are you guys even paying attention? Karma, vikarma? Karma. Okay. So, coming to the problem with karma and vikarma. So the problem with either performing karma or vikarma is that they are both causes of bondage. What do we mean by that? So both karma and vikarma are material activities. They will bind one to the cycle of birth and death to enjoy or suffer the reactions of those work. Okay? So the reason why these are called material activities is because they are based on either this level or this level of activity. Okay? It is based either on the gross body or on the subtle body level of consciousness. It is still, that's why it's called a material activity, because these two layers are material, only this is spiritual. Okay? So, these are actions which are based on self-identification as the body or for extended bodily relationships. Right now, if I ask you, let's say, sorry, what's your name again? Nikhil. Are you sure your name is Nikhil? Are you sure that is who you are? Then who are them? Are they your parents? Were they your parents in your last life? No. So basically, what it is that our entire sense of self is basically based on these two levels, but actually we are who? Actually we are the soul. We have had countless number of parents. We have had countless number of children in so many previous lifetimes. Do we remember them? After death, do we even remember, okay, that this person was my father, this person was my mother, this person was my child? We just left everything and came into a new body, and we have accepted new parents. We have accepted new relationships, new bodily relationships. So there was this one time where during the freedom struggle, Subhash Chandra Bose had met with Srila Prabhupada's guru as Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And he said, you give me 100 of young capable men and I will liberate India. And Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur said, you give me even 10 men and I will liberate the whole world. Because you might think that by fighting against the British, by fighting against the British, you are liberating India. But what happens is, when you are fighting, you are just thinking of the British. And because you are thinking of the British, and we've already seen that whatever is your last thought before you die, you get that. So you think of fighting the British. That's the mentality. Next, but what happens? You're British, and now you're fighting against India. So that too, square or what do we call it? Back to square zero or square one. Yeah. So this is the problem. So even in 9.21, Krishna says, when they have thus enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasures, and the results of their pious activities are exhausted, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus, those who seek enjoyment by adhering to the principles of the three Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death. So, even just performing good karma is, Krishna is saying, is pointless, because the only thing that you will achieve is repeated birth and death. Okay? So, how do we understand this? So, there are two examples. For example, there is a person who is a businessman. He's earned a lot of money, and he goes abroad for a vacation and he spends the money. After his money is finished, he has to return back and perform his daily business activities to gather more money so that he can go back and do another vacation. Right? Or another example, say if you're very sinful, then a criminal, when he is sentenced and then he starts serving his sentence day by day in the prison, his sentence is actually reducing. So he's suffering his reactions in the jail. But what happens is he will once he has suffered his sentence, he will then be released back into the outside world. So either you perform a lot of punya or either you perform a lot of weak karma or pap, you still have to suffer the enjoyment or suffering, and after doing that you come back and you start again. Basically this is what happens. This is the wheel. Yeah? Sometimes you go up and then sometimes you come down. Sometimes you go up, sometimes you come down. But the wheel is just stationary. It's not going anywhere. It's just there. Just like the London Eye, it's been there for how many years? Yeah? So, Krishna then guides us to the third type of activity that we should be performing. We should be performing something known as akarma. Now, literally, akarma would mean inaction, but the actual meaning of akarma means to perform spiritual actions or spiritual activities. Okay? So, spiritual activities are those activities performed on behalf of or for the pleasure of God. Now, these are the actions which are based on the soul level of consciousness. Okay? So, material actions are based on the gross and subtle body, and spiritual activities are performed where? At the soul level. Okay? So, just as we perform material duties to earn money so that we can feed the material bodies, we as souls need activities that will feed it. Such activities are called spiritual activities. Now, such activities are performed without selfish desire. That means they don't implicate the performer. Now, this is an example that we can understand. Now, there is a soldier. The soldier is fighting at the border and he is given the license to kill the enemy. And if he does kill a lot of enemies, do you think he'll get punished? No, he'll actually get a medal. He'll get a medal saying that, oh, you're so brave. So, if a soldier is killing enemy at the border, he is actually rewarded. But if the soldier comes back and say he has a fight with another person and then he takes out his firearm and shoots the person down, the same government which would have offered him medals for fighting in the war will now punish him and sentence him into prison. Yeah? It's the same government. One side it is giving rewards, but at the same time if you do it for yourself, you're going to get punished. So this is what spiritual activity is. If you do all the activities and you do it as a sacrifice to the state, or if you're doing it for the state's pleasure, the state will reward you. But if you do it for your own pleasure, the state will punish you. Yeah? Okay. So, the examples of akarma are chanting the names of God, worshipping Him and serving Him, and other acts of bhakti. Okay? By performing akarma, one develops devotion to God, detachment from worldly affairs, purity and spiritual happiness. And so akarma liberates one from the cycle of birth and death and takes one to the spiritual world. Okay, are we clear till here? Any questions? No questions. Okay, now I have a question for you guys. If you don't have a question for me, I have a question for you guys. So some people might say that, okay, we perform a karma, we are performing acts of bhakti. So, and if one doesn't get reactions, yeah, it doesn't implicate the performer. If we do not get reactions for performing these type of activities, then Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Yeah. So if one doesn't incur reactions in spiritual activities, why do we see those performing bhakti going through the various reactions, good and bad? People have started doing bhakti, but if you do bhakti, you are not supposed to get reactions. Then why do we see that people who perform bhakti are going through so many reactions, good and bad? Sorry, huh? Past karma. Very good. Clap for yourself. Very good. Right. So there are two examples I want to share which helps you to visualize this. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Yeah? Better? So, two examples. First one. How many of you have ridden a bike? Okay. You pedal, and then you stop pedaling. Is the bike just going to stop there? You still continue the momentum, right? Okay. This is fan here. I switch off the fan. Is it still going to move? Yes? Yes. So basically, when you start doing bhakti, what you're stopping is getting future reactions. But then you still have to clear your reactions from the past. Okay? So ultimately what happens is that when you start performing bhakti, it's like now you've taken your feet off the pedal. One pedal is karma, the other pedal is vikarma. You've just stopped that and you're just like, okay, now akarma. I'm not going to pedal anymore. But you still have to go through the momentum until it completely stops. Okay? Just like with the fan. Right? So, in the Gita, chapter 3, text 9, can we have someone from that table in the middle? Chapter 3, text number 9. Can you have the mic, please?
Work done as a sacrifice to Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Prithvi, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and in that way you will always remain free from the bondage.
Okay, very clear. He said you have to perform work as a sacrifice for Vishnu, otherwise work causes bondage in the material world. Yeah? So if you do your duties for his satisfaction, you will always remain free from bondage. So now we are going to now compare karma and akarma. Karma means punya and spiritual activity is karma. Akarma, sorry. So punya is basically good material activity, but akarma is spiritual activity. Karma pertains to the material body, while akarma pertains to the soul. The result is promotion to higher material planets, while the result for akarma is liberation to the spiritual world. And how we can understand this is like if you are in a jail and you're just performing karma, good karma, it's just like you're being transferred to a better facility jail. While in performing akarma, you're actually getting out of the jail. Yeah, this is how we can understand it. If you just perform good karma, it's just like moving from one jail to a better facility jail. And if you do akarma, you're moving out from the jail and into the free world. Okay? Now, we have something known as instant and delayed karma. Okay. So sometimes we see that action leads to reaction. Yeah? But this is not all the time. So sometimes you say, okay, action equals to reaction. So what is that? Say you put your finger in fire. Immediate reaction, you will get burnt. Immediate reaction. But say if you go and stand in the sun for 8 hours, then what happens is then after a few time limit, after some time, you will get a heat stroke. Yeah? So this is very simple. But let us complicate this further. So action gives reaction, that's for sure. But it is action plus time which will give rise to reaction. Not every action performed will give rise to the reaction immediately. Yeah? So there is instant karma and then there is delayed karma. Okay? So we have some examples that we can share. So for example, a thief caught on the street faces immediate reaction. Another one is if you eat contaminated food, it will cause an upset stomach, but in a few hours. It's not automatically you eat something and then you become sick. No, it takes a few hours. A clever murderer may go many months before being caught and then punished. And sometimes a reaction to an overindulgence, like in alcohol, causes liver failure not now, not tomorrow, not next week, but may cause liver failure 20 years into the future. Yeah? So, crucially, the point that I'm trying to make is that some actions performed will bring their reactions also in future lives. This is just in this lifetime, but there are also certain actions that will bring their reaction in future lives. But one might ask, so why is that? Why can't we have all our reactions in this life? Yeah, why can't we have that? Why is it a must that we must undergo reactions in future lives? So we're going to show some logic to believe that karma will come in the future lives. Okay? The first one is death interrupts the fructifying of our karma. Every action you perform has to have a reaction, right? Now, we have already seen that reactions can be delayed, right? So at any point in time, there is a stock of unfructified reactions that you are supposed to get. At every moment you're performing action, and because you're performing action, at every moment you are supposed to get a reaction for that action performed. But what does death do? Death basically puts a stop. It puts a stop. So even on the last day of your time in this body, you're still performing action, but you're still supposed to get a reaction for that action. So when you get it, you have to get it in your next life. Second, the different karmic seeds take different time to fructify. How many of you have seen a mango tree? Mango, apple, pear, avocados. Yeah? Do all of them take the same amount of time to fructify? How many have seen a bamboo tree? Bamboo, Chinese bamboo. You know, Chinese bamboo, for 5 years, even if you water the ground, it doesn't shoot up. But within 3 months of it shooting up, it will grow to 90 feet tall. Yeah? So, each and every different type of tree has different time limits of how they will grow. Similarly, different karmic seeds will take different times to fructify. Next, the conditions must be right. Now, if I say that I want to become a millionaire, will you become an overnight millionaire? No, you have to put in the effort, you have to put in the right conditions have to arise for you to fulfill maybe your karma of becoming a millionaire. Okay? So, this is a very interesting story in the Mahabharata, and you tell me who this character is. Okay? There was once a hunter, and this hunter had seen a big nest in a tree, and this tree had 100 small eggs. Now this hunter got very excited. He said, "Oh my God, this is such a beautiful opportunity to make a lot of money." So he basically shot an arrow. It tipped the nest over, and all the 100 eggs fell onto the floor, and all of them died. And then the parent bird saw this and was crying in a lot of pain. Now this hunter had to undergo the reaction of having killed 100 children and go through the reaction that he caused to that parent bird. The parent bird had to lament for 100 of his kids to die. Now, are you getting who this is in the Mahabharata? Yes. Dhritarashtra. This is Dhritarashtra. Now, between the soul who was Dhritarashtra and the soul who was Hunter is the same soul. And you know how long it took between the time periods of the Hunter story and Dhritarashtra? It took 50 lifetimes. The reason why is because that soul has to accumulate so much karma to even get one child. To get one son, a lot of punya has to be accrued. So imagine if you have to get 100 sons. So just to get enough punya to have 100 sons, that hunter had to go through 50 lifetimes before he could receive the reaction of that particular action that he had performed. Another one, there is the story of Bhishma Dev. How many of you know Bhishma Dev in the Mahabharata? Now, Bhishma Dev is a very powerful personality. But how did he die? On the bed of arrows, right? Now, Bhishma Dev is a very extraordinary personality because he could remember up to 100 of his past lifetimes. Yeah, he could remember up to 100 of his past lifetimes. And he said, I don't remember any action I performed in my past 100 lifetimes that I have to be in this scenario. And then a learned Rishi comes to him and says that in your 101st previous lifetime, you are walking on the road and there was a snake. And you just took a stick and you whipped the snake away, and the snake landed on the thorns, on cactuses. And the cactus basically pierced each and every part of his body. And for that, you are receiving the reaction now, after 100 lifetimes. Okay? So, it takes a long time. Yeah, and the conditions must be right for that to happen. Okay, next. The body is only addressed. Say, for example, somebody has committed a crime, wearing completely black suit and everything, like covered himself up and everything. And then he's arrested after some investigations, after a week, and he's wearing normal clothes. So he's like, who are you to take me? I think you got the wrong person. The person you're looking for was wearing black clothes. I am wearing different color clothes. Will the police accept such an argument? No, because the clothes may change, but the person was the same. So whether you are in this body or that body, it doesn't matter. The soul is the same. So the reactions will come to that soul. Okay? And forgetfulness of the cause is no excuse. Sometimes a person might say, plead that I don't remember that I've done this. But there are higher authorities in the universe who keep track of all your karma. And so they will give you what you deserve, even if you don't remember it. Okay? Next. Now we are going to come to the last part, which is like common questions regarding karma. Okay? The first question that we normally get is, okay, you understand good karma, bad karma, but can we cancel our bad karma through our good karma? Simple answer, no. You have to suffer or enjoy the reactions of your good deeds and your bad deeds separately. However, in the Vedas, there is a process of atonement, or what's the Hindi word for it? Prayashchit. Yeah, you atone for your sins that you have done, and in that you perform various rituals, and the reactions for that sin can get reduced or even nullified. But the problem with the process of atonement is that it is not stopping the propensity to sin. Yeah, you are not, by doing atonement, it's not that you are stopping yourself from committing sin again in the future. You're just done sin and you're repenting for it, but that does not stop the propensity to sin. And so Sukadeva Goswami in the Bhagavatam compares the process of atonement to be like an elephant taking a bath. An elephant will enter the water, but as soon as he comes out of the water, he'll spread dust all over it. How many of you have seen this if you've gone to Salt Lake? You know, you go to Salt Lake, there's a water hole, and then there's so many elephants who come there. And then you see that the elephants, they go into the water, and after that they just put the dust all over again. So it's like, what is the point of taking a bath? Yeah, what is the point of taking a bath? So, furthermore, in the Bhagavatam, Sukadeva Goswami says that only by the performance of bhakti are the weeds of sinful actions uprooted. It's only when you perform bhakti is when your propensity to now do sinful activity is completely zero. So there's no question of you continuing your sinful activities. Second one is like, how do you explain scenarios like plane crashes? So, in this you understand it to be there is individual karma and there's collective karma. So, when you are with people and you perform certain activities, as a group you are earning similar reactions for that activity you perform. So, again, if you're performing certain actions together, you are also going to be suffering similar reactions. So, through the providence of collective karma, certain people are brought together to live out a similar type of reaction. So that is why you have people who are completely unrelated and they go into a plane and then the plane crashes, because each one of them had in their individual karma to experience death through a plane crash. So basically providence is just put them all together and say, okay, one go, everyone just fulfill your, basically suffer your karma. Okay? Next. So then, what is destiny of fate? Now this is very important. Now I'm going to introduce two words. One is called so the two words, one is called prarabdha karma and another one is called sanchita karma. Okay? So what does this mean? Sanchita karma means the sum total of all our past karmic reactions. So in this way, all that we have performed is all sanchita karma. Okay? And now here, for example, so this is our journey, our soul journey through all the different bodies, and this is what we are going to go through in our current lifetime. Whatever reaction we get in our current lifetime is known as prarabdha karma. Sanchita karma is our entire stockpile, but whatever we get for this lifetime is known as our prarabdha karma. So the prarabdha karma is a portion of karmic reactions that has fallen due to us in this lifetime. So it is according to the prarabdha karma, one is born in a certain family with a certain type of body, with a certain amount of happiness and distress, and a certain kind of death. They say that as soon as you're born, you're already born with an expiration date and even the way you're going to die, basically. So destiny is nothing but the aggregate of our karmic reactions that have presently borne fruit or will shortly bear fruit. So destiny is basically prarabdha karma. It's what we will get in this lifetime. Okay? So somebody might ask, so if everything is destined, what is the use of free will? Is there scope for free will? If everything is destined, do we even have free will? So, destiny is what happens to us as a result of our past activities. That cannot be avoided. But we have a free will to decide what type of reactions we will get in the future. Say somebody has slapped me. I have now a choice whether I want to slap him back and get further reactions, or take a different approach and forgive him and stop having a reaction to that action. Or say there is a person who is on the edge of a cliff. When he's on the edge of a cliff, he has two options: either to jump or not to jump. But if he decides to jump, then his reaction or his destiny is going to be that he has to die. Yeah? Before he made the jump, he had free will. But after he has used his free will, he has to accept whatever reaction he will get from his use or misuse of free will. Okay? So this is what in ancient Greek times, the Greek philosophers like Aristotle, Socrates, they were all known as Stoicism. They were all Stoics. They all believed that no matter what happens to you in your life, you are in control of how you react to that. And when you choose the right reaction, it will give you happiness at the end of it. So, our destiny is actually created by past reactions, and past reactions were determined by what our nature was and what our habits are. Some people who are very angry in nature, if they are faced with somebody slapping them, their automatic response is what? To go and slap them again. But if a person is very calm and they get slapped, is their response going to be different? More likely that it will be different, right? So our nature and our habits is what determines what our reactions will be, and again it will determine what our destiny will be. Yes? So the key here is that if we want to make ourselves have better reactions in the future, we basically have to change our habits and our nature. Okay? So how can we change it? Or how is nature and habits developed? Nature and habits are developed by the association we keep. If one person doesn't drink, but he hangs out with his group of 5 friends who are all drunkards, give it time, that person will also start drinking. Yeah, because association is very powerful. Association is key. If we are able to control our association, that will determine what our nature is, and that will determine what type of thought patterns we have. Okay? And that determines our destiny. So in short, we have to cultivate good spiritual company, because it is in the spiritual company that these are the people who are performing not karma, they are not even performing vikarma, they are only performing, what is the third one? Akarma. Spiritual people only perform akarma, and we have seen that by performing akarma, you are going to get the greatest benefit, the greatest welfare, which is being liberated from this cycle of birth and death. So the key here is that we have to cultivate good spiritual company so that we can develop good habits, healthy positive attitude, and proper spiritual desires. And this will lead us to perfection in life. And finally, the last question that people always ask is, then why do bad things keep on happening to good people? Now, I want to throw this out there. Okay, let's see. Somebody from the last table. Why do you think this is? Why do bad things happen to good people? Fantastic. That's exactly it. So basically what happens is, people who are good in this lifetime have performed certain bad actions in the past, and they are reaping the reactions of that in this lifetime. Okay? The example of this is, have you seen silos, like really big silos where they store grains and other big productions like oil or anything? But basically grains, silos are for grains. Now in one year, say this present year, we've had very good harvest. But in the last year, we had very bad harvest. The silos are designed in such a way that new harvest goes on the top, and then there's a tap at the bottom that releases grains. So if you put good grains, it will go on the top, but the previous year's bad grains are already coming down. So you might say that, oh, I've performed such good activities, so I'm depositing good grains on the top. But why am I getting very bad grains? Is because the last year's harvest was very bad, and so the quality of your grains are very bad. and the tap is at the bottom. So you think you're performing so many good actions, but what you're getting is something very bad. It's just because we can understand this through the silo example. Okay? So this comes to the end of today's class. Does anyone have any questions? I'm sorry for the delay in time because of a technical issue, and we have gone nearly past time. But anyone has any questions? Yes, mic please. Where's the mic?
I just would like to know if we are supposed to be doing bhakti. Me being a person,
Yeah.
I can do my bhakti, but and when I go to work, and during or even in my normal life, we find somebody either thirsty or better.
Yeah.
So if I help him, I'm doing a good karma, right?
Yes.
So should I do that good karma or should I not give him that money? Because you say if you do good karma, then you still have to enjoy that karma.
Yes. Very good question. So these good karmas, you can spiritualize them. So if you see somebody is thirsty, if you see somebody is hungry, if you see somebody needs some medicine or anything, you can spiritualize it. And to spiritualize any activity is very simple. You just have to remember Krishna. By performing that activity in remembrance of Krishna, you're already spiritualizing that good action. Okay? So that you're transferring the karma to becoming an akarmic reaction, akarma.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, this is exactly what I do.
Yeah.
When I go out and pray, I tell Krishna that look, this is whatever I'm doing every Saturday, we do social service.
Yeah.
We have the poor, lots of things we do.
Yeah.
So I just said Krishna, I'm going to do your job. Tell me what you want me to do.
Yeah.
I'm doing it for you. It's not for myself.
Yeah, perfect.
So it does become spiritual.
Yes, it does. Because you're keeping Krishna in the center.
Yes.
Right? Okay, so that's very, very simple. Just you have to spiritualize any action to become akarma. Okay? Now we cannot spiritualize vikarma because that is completely against the principles of God, because as you already discussed, that it is against the scripture injunction. So Krishna has already said don't do this, and then you go and say I'm doing it and I'm doing it for you, but Krishna is like I don't want you to do it anyway. So it doesn't work that way.
I was just going to say, I think if we spiritualize it and say, I need to steal this.
No, that stealing is a universally accepted thing that is not good to do. Yeah, there's no way that Krishna says go steal. There's no sense. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. So let's close the session. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.